Rain slid down the car windows in silver lines, turning the city outside into a blur of lights and motion. Maya sat in the back seat of the Uber, arms crossed, trying not to cry again. Her phone buzzed on her lap. Another message from a former coworker. "I'm so sorry about what happened." She didn't answer. There was nothing left to say. 8 years of loyalty. 8 years of staying late. Fixing mistakes that weren't hers. Covering for a boss she once admired. And now, in one single meeting, Ethan Cole had destroyed her career. He had done it calmly, smoothly, like he was presenting a quarterly report. She could still hear his voice, polite, careful, fake concern dripping through every word. The evidence points to Maya. We can't ignore the numbers. The boardroom had gone silent. The CEO had looked at her like she was a stranger. And Ethan, her mentor, her friend, never once met her eyes. Now she was sitting in the back of a car, in the middle of the night, replaying every moment and trying to understand why. The driver glanced at her through the mirror. He was an older man, with tired eyes and a voice that carried a quiet kindness. "Long day?" Maya managed a weak smile. Something like that. She didn't want to talk. She just wanted to go home, close the curtains, and disappear for a few days or weeks. She had always believed that hard work protected people from betrayal. She knew now how foolish that belief was. Outside, the rain thickened, turning the streets into dark rivers. The car slowed as the driver's phone buzzed on the dashboard. He checked the screen quickly, then frowned, not in confusion, but in hesitation. He hesitated for just a second too long. Maya noticed. "Everything okay?" He didn't answer right away. His eyes flicked to the mirror again, as if deciding what to say. "Ma'am," he said finally, "I have to take you somewhere first." Maya blinked. "What do you mean?" "My destination's already in the app." He nodded. "I know, but I just got a message. It's important." Maya sat up straighter. "A message from who?" Instead of answering, the driver turned his phone around. The screen glowed in the dim light. It was a text message, short, strange, and terrifying. "Take her to me. She deserves to know." Beneath the message was a photo. Maya leaned in closer, squinting at the image, and her heart stopped. It was Ethan, sitting in a car, parked somewhere dark, his face half lit by the glow of a streetlight. He looked tired, older, and completely alone. "What is this?" Maya whispered. The driver's voice was calm. "He said you'd understand when you saw him." Maya's pulse began to race. "Understand what? This doesn't make sense. Why would my boss?" She stopped herself. She didn't want to call him her boss anymore. "Look," the driver said, keeping his tone steady. "I know this is strange. You can get out if you want. But the man who sent this, he said he has something you need. Something important." Her first instinct was to tell him to stop the car. But she didn't. Something in his voice, steady, patient, almost protective, made her hesitate. "Who are you?" she asked. "Just a driver," he said. "Sometimes people ask me to deliver messages. That's all." Maya's thoughts spun faster than the wipers on the windshield. Could this be some kind of setup? A trap? Ethan had already ruined her once. Why would he call her now? But the message didn't sound like him. It didn't sound cruel. It sounded desperate. "Where are we going?" she asked. He glanced at his phone again. "It's about 20 minutes from here. Industrial area near the docks." Maya exhaled slowly. The docks. A quiet part of town at night. Empty streets, cold air, no witnesses. Her better judgment screamed to get out of the car. But then another thought came. One she couldn't silence. What if this was her chance? For weeks, she had thought about confronting Ethan, about walking into his office, slamming the files on his desk, and forcing him to admit what he'd done. But he had disappeared after the meeting, avoiding calls, deleting social media, erasing himself from the company like he'd never existed. And now, out of nowhere, he was calling her. The car turned off the main road, heading into quieter streets. The sound of the rain softened. Streetlights grew fewer and farther apart. Maya watched each one pass like a countdown. "You sure this is safe?" she asked. The driver gave a small nod. "Safe? No, necessary." "Maybe," Maya almost laughed. "That's not exactly comforting." "I've seen worse," he said simply. They drove in silence for several minutes. Maya stared out the window, trying to steady her breathing. Her mind was a storm, anger, confusion, curiosity, all fighting for control. She thought of that final meeting again. The way Ethan had stood in front of everyone, pretending to protect her. The way he'd said, "Let's not make this personal," as if ruining her life wasn't personal. She'd once trusted him more than anyone at the company. He'd guided her through her first promotion, told her she had leadership potential. He'd promised that one day she'd be sitting at the board table with him. And she had believed him, until he used her as his shield. The car slowed again. The driver checked his GPS, then turned down a narrow road. Ahead, the city lights faded completely, replaced by the soft glow of one lonely streetlight. The road ended in a small parking lot surrounded by warehouses. There a black sedan, parked in the corner, headlights dim, engine running. The driver pulled over and put the car in park. "This is it," he said quietly. Maya gripped her phone. "You're serious?" He nodded. "He's waiting." For a moment she didn't move. Her reflection in the window looked like a stranger, tense, hollow, and tired of being afraid. "Why are you helping him?" she asked finally. "I'm not," the driver said. "I'm helping you." The way he said it made her pause. His tone wasn't friendly or cold, just sincere, like he knew something she didn't. Maya looked back at the car ahead. Through the windshield, she could barely make out Ethan's outline. His face was turned toward her, motionless, waiting. She thought about everything he had taken from her. Her job, her friends, her future. The humiliation, the whispers, the way her parents had looked at her when she told them she'd been fired. Her hands clenched around her phone. Maybe she was done running. "Stay here," she said to the driver. He nodded. "I'll wait." Maya pushed the door open. The rain had stopped, but the ground was still wet. Each step echoed against the asphalt. She walked slowly, her heartbeat matching her pace. Ethan's car door opened. He stepped out, dressed in the same grey suit he'd worn that day at the office, now wrinkled, damp, and tired-looking. "Maya," he said softly. "You came." His voice was the same, smooth, professional, but his face told another story. There were dark circles under his eyes. His tie hung loose, and his hands trembled slightly at his sides. Maya didn't respond. She stopped a few feet away, keeping her distance. "Why did you call me here?" she asked. He looked down for a moment, then met her eyes. "Because you deserve to know the truth." "The truth?" Her laugh was bitter. "The truth is you ruined my life." "I know," he said quietly. "And I'm sorry." Maya froze. She hadn't expected that. Ethan Cole, always proud, always in control, never apologized for anything. "I didn't mean for it to happen like this," he continued. "You have to believe me." "I don't," she said sharply. "You blamed me for your mistake. You lied to everyone." Ethan's shoulders dropped. "I didn't have a choice." "There's always a choice," she shot back. You chose you. For a second, the only sound was the distant hum of the car engines. Ethan looked like a man unraveling. The confidence gone, replaced by something that looked a lot like fear. I asked you to come because I want to fix it, he said. There's something you need to see. He reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a small USB drive. It gleamed under the streetlight. This has everything, he said. Emails. Reports. The real numbers. It proves I did it, not you. Maya stared at him, unsure what to feel. Why now? Because the people I worked with, they're coming after me next. I thought I could get away with it. But they know. He gave a small, broken laugh. They always know. Maya didn't move. The memory of every sleepless night, every tear, every look of doubt from her co-workers flashed before her eyes. You could have done this months ago, she whispered. I was scared, he said. You don't understand who's involved. I don't care who's involved, Maya said coldly. You should have protected me. He didn't argue. He just held the USB out to her, his hand shaking slightly. Take it, it's yours. Do whatever you want with it. Maya didn't reach for it. Not yet. For the first time, Ethan looked smaller than she remembered. Not the man who had controlled meetings and silenced rooms, but someone haunted by his own lies. She looked back at the Uber still idling in the distance. The driver hadn't moved. He was waiting, just like he said. When she finally took the drive, her fingers brushed Ethan's for a second. His skin was ice cold. I don't forgive you, she said quietly. Not today. Maybe not ever. Ethan nodded. I wouldn't either. Maya turned away, walking back toward the car without looking back. As she opened the Uber door, the driver met her eyes. You got what you came for. She looked at the USB drive in her hand. Not what I wanted, she said softly. But maybe what I needed. The car pulled away, leaving Ethan standing alone in the rain. A shadow shrinking in the rearview mirror. Maya didn't know what came next, revenge, justice, or peace. But for the first time since it all began, she felt in control again. The rain had stopped, but the air still smelled like metal and stormwater when Maya's Uber merged back onto the main road. She sat silently, staring at the USB drive in her hand. It was small, silver, and so light that it almost felt meaningless. Yet it carried the power to destroy a man, and maybe to free her. The driver didn't ask questions. He just drove, his eyes steady on the road. Streetlights flickered across his face, revealing calmness, almost too calm. You're quiet, he said finally. Maya let out a short laugh. I just confronted the man who ruined my life. What exactly should I say? He gave a small nod. Fair point. The car moved through the empty streets, city noise fading behind them. The silence wasn't peaceful. It was heavy, full of things Maya couldn't put into words. She had thought seeing Ethan again would give her satisfaction, that she'd finally get the closure she deserved. But instead, all she felt was confusion. He'd looked broken, afraid. Not the cold, confident executive she remembered. And the way he'd said, "You don't understand who's involved," that had lodged itself deep in her mind. What did he mean by that? She looked down at the USB again. It gleamed faintly under the car's interior light. The driver glanced at it, then back at the road. That little thing must be pretty important. Maya nodded slowly. It could clear my name. It has everything, evidence, reports, maybe even the truth. He didn't respond for a moment. And what are you going to do with it? She hesitated. I don't know yet. He smiled faintly. You do. You just don't like the answer. Maya looked up sharply, but his expression was unreadable. She leaned back against the seat, frustrated. He was right. She did know. Deep down, part of her wanted to take that evidence straight to the company board, expose Ethan, and watch his world collapse the way he'd collapsed hers. But another part, the tired, hollow part, wasn't sure revenge would fix anything. The car slowed at a red light. Outside, neon signs flickered in the reflection of puddles. Maya thought about the people at the office. How quickly they had turned against her. No one had asked for her side. No one had defended her. Ethan's word had been enough to destroy her reputation. She clenched her jaw. "He deserves to pay," she said quietly. The driver didn't turn around, but his voice softened. "Maybe. But what if he already is? What's that supposed to mean?" "You saw him," the driver said. "He's not sleeping well. Probably not eating. Men like that. They think they're untouchable until they're not. Then the guilt eats them alive." "Good," Maya muttered. The driver gave a small shrug. "If that's enough for you, then maybe you already got your revenge." Maya stared out the window again. The city was fading into the distance, replaced by quiet suburbs. The rhythmic sound of the tires filled the car, and her thoughts wandered back to Ethan's face. Pale, desperate, defeated. She had expected anger, excuses, maybe even arrogance. But not fear. He had looked like a man running from something. Not just from guilt, but from danger. "Do you believe people like him can change?" she asked suddenly. The driver took a breath. "Sometimes, but not before they've lost everything." Maya thought about those words. Was that what she wanted? To make Ethan lose everything? To see him suffer the way she had? The thought didn't bring as much satisfaction as she expected. They turned onto a darker street lined with warehouses. Maya frowned. "Wait, where are we going?" "This isn't the way home." The driver checked his phone again. "I know. You got another message." Maya's pulse jumped. "From who?" He handed her the phone. A new text glowed on the screen. "She has it. Bring her to me." The sender's name was hidden. Just a number. Her stomach twisted. "What is this? Who's sending these?" "I don't know," the driver said. "Same number as before. They said it's connected to what you just got." Maya stared at the phone, her grip tightening. "This isn't funny. I'm not meeting anyone else." The driver didn't argue. "We can turn back if you want." She hesitated. Every instinct told her to say yes. To go home, lock the doors, and forget this whole night ever happened. But something about that message felt unfinished. If Ethan had truly wanted to make things right, maybe this was part of it. "Fine," she said finally. "Take me there. But if something feels off, we're leaving." The driver nodded. "Fair enough." As they drove deeper into the industrial area, Maya's heart pounded harder. The streets were nearly empty now. Old buildings lined both sides, their windows dark. The car's headlights stretched far ahead, cutting through the mist. They turned a corner, and another car came into view. An SUV, parked under a broken streetlight. The driver slowed to a stop. "That's the spot." Maya gripped the door handle. "Who's in there?" He shook his head. "I don't know. But if you want, I'll wait here." Maya looked at the shadowed SUV. Her fingers trembled. Something about this didn't feel right. That her curiosity was stronger than her fear. She stepped out into the cold air. The SUV door opened and a woman stepped out. She was tall, sharp-featured, and dressed in a dark coat. Her presence was calm but intense. "Maya Brooks?" the woman asked. "Yes," Maya said cautiously. The woman gave a small nod. "I work for someone who used to work with Ethan Cole." Maya stiffened. "Used to?" The woman's tone didn't change. "He's in trouble. And now, So are you. Maya's stomach dropped. What are you talking about? The woman glanced toward the Uber, then back at Maya. You have the drive, don't you? Maya instinctively hid it behind her. What's on it? The woman stepped closer, her voice low. Evidence. But not just of Ethan's mistake. There are bigger names involved. People who don't like loose ends. When Ethan gave that to you, he made you one of them. Maya's pulse quickened. You're saying they'll come after me? The woman didn't answer directly. They don't like witnesses. Maya felt the ground tilt beneath her. Why are you telling me this? Because I'm not one of them anymore, the woman said. I'm trying to make sure what Ethan started doesn't end with you. Maya stared at her, trying to process everything. So what am I supposed to do? Disappear, the woman said. Leave the city. Don't go to the police yet. Let things cool down. That's insane, Maya said. I can't just vanish. I've already lost everything. This drive is all I have. Then you have to be smart with it, the woman said. If you release it now, they'll find you before the truth does any good. Before Maya could respond, headlights flared at the end of the street. Another car was approaching, fast. The woman's eyes narrowed. They found us. Maya's breath caught. Who? Get back in the car, the woman snapped. Now! Maya turned and ran. The driver had already opened her door. She dove inside, slamming it shut. Go! She shouted. He didn't ask questions. The tires screeched against wet pavement as they sped off, turning sharply onto the next street. Behind them, the SUV's headlights swerved into view, following. Who are they? The driver asked, glancing in the mirror. I don't know, Maya said, her heart racing. But they want what's on this drive. The car swerved through narrow lanes, engine roaring. The driver was calm, hands steady on the wheel. Hold on, he said. They cut through side streets, losing sight of the other car for a moment. Maya could barely breathe. She pressed the USB against her chest like a lifeline. When they finally stopped under an overpass, the city lights flickered faintly above. The driver killed the headlights. Silence filled the car. Are we safe? She whispered. For now, he said. Maya leaned back, her pulse still racing. The sound of her heartbeat filled her ears. Everything had changed in minutes. What had started as a confrontation with Ethan had turned into something much bigger. The driver turned to her. You still think this is just about revenge? She didn't answer. She couldn't. He continued softly. You were looking for justice. That sometimes justice has a price. Maya looked down at the drive in her hand. If what she said is true, this thing could expose everyone. Not just Ethan. The driver nodded. Then you have to decide if it's worth it. Maya's throat tightened. I don't even know who to trust anymore. He looked at her with calm eyes. Start by trusting yourself. She closed her eyes for a moment. The anger that had fueled her for so long was changing. No longer sharp, but deep and cold. She had wanted revenge, but now she was caught in something she didn't fully understand. As they drove back toward the city lights, Maya made a silent promise to herself. She wouldn't run. Not again. She would find out what was really on that drive. She would uncover the truth, not just for herself, but for everyone who had been silenced. Because maybe revenge wasn't about destroying someone. Maybe it was about exposing everything they tried to hide. And this time, Maya wasn't going to stop until she knew every secret behind Ethan Cole's betrayal, and the people powerful enough to bury it. The night was fading into a dull grey morning as Maya sat in her apartment, lights off, blinds drawn. Her heart hadn't slowed since the chase hours ago. She hadn't slept, hadn't eaten. Her focus was locked on the small silver USB drive on the table. It sat there, innocent and silent, but she knew it could destroy lives. The woman from the SUV, whoever she was, had disappeared after the chase. Maya hadn't seen her again. The driver had dropped Maya home, waited until she locked the door, and drove away without saying a word. She hadn't even asked his name. Now, alone in the dark, Maya replayed everything in her head. Ethan's broken face, the woman's warning, the mysterious men chasing her through the streets. None of it made sense. And yet, it all pointed to one truth. She was in the middle of something much bigger than workplace betrayal. She opened her laptop, hands trembling slightly. For a moment, she just stared at the blank desktop screen, her reflection faint in the glass. Then she plugged the USB in. A folder appeared. One word as its name: confession. Her heart pounded. She clicked it open. Inside were dozens of files, spreadsheets, emails, signed contracts, voice recordings. And then one video. The timestamp read 3 nights ago. She pressed play. The video showed Ethan sitting in a dim office, the same one she used to work in. His hair was messy, his face pale. He looked right at the camera. "If you're watching this, it means I couldn't fix it in time. I made a mistake, a big one. I covered up financial discrepancies for people higher than me. They wanted me to shift the blame to someone clean, someone credible. That's why I chose Maya Brooks. I thought I could protect her afterward. I was wrong." Maya's throat tightened. "The truth is, I didn't act alone. 3 board members were part of it. They used company funds to move money offshore. I have the records here. If anything happens to me, Maya, please, use them. Clear your name. Don't let them win." The screen went black. Maya sat frozen. Her stomach twisted. She wanted to hate him, but for the first time, she saw what had really happened. He hadn't just betrayed her out of greed. He'd been pressured, trapped by people far above both of them. But that didn't erase what he'd done. He'd still chosen himself over her. A noise outside made her flinch. She turned toward the door. Footsteps. Slow. Careful. Someone was outside her apartment. She unplugged the USB quickly and slipped it into her jacket pocket. The knocking came seconds later. Soft. Deliberate. "Maya, it's me." Ethan's voice. Her pulse spiked. She stood still, not moving. How did he find her? "Maya, please open the door," he said again. His voice was quiet, tired. "I know you saw the video." She hesitated. "How do you know where I live?" "I followed the driver," he admitted. "I needed to talk to you before they do." "They?" He looked over his shoulder nervously. "The people I worked for. They know you have the drive." Maya stayed behind the locked door. "What do they want from me?" "They want to erase everything," Ethan said. "The files, the recordings, you, me, all of it. They won't stop." Her grip tightened on the USB. "Then we go to the police." "It's not that simple," he said. "They have influence everywhere. If you go to the wrong person, it disappears." "Then what's your plan?" He sighed. "There's one man I trust, an investigator I gave some of the data to before everything went wrong. If we can get the rest to him, he can expose them. But we have to move fast." Maya hesitated. This could be another trick. But the fear in his voice sounded real. And the fact that someone had already tried to chase her down wasn't something she could ignore. "Where is he?" she asked. Ethan looked down the hallway. "He's waiting at the old rail yard. We can get there in 20 minutes. But we need to leave now." Against her better judgment, Maya grabbed her bag. "Fine. But if you try anything..." He raised his hands. "You have my word. I just want to end this." They moved quickly down the stairs, keeping low. The city was waking up. Distant traffic. Soft daylight spreading over wet pavement. They slipped into Ethan's car, an old grey sedan that looked like it had been driven through every storm. As they drove, Maya couldn't stop watching him. His hands gripped the wheel too tightly. His eyes darted between the mirrors every few seconds. He looked more like a hunted man than a guilty one. "Why me?" she asked finally. "Why did you choose me to take the blame?" He didn't look at her. "Because you were the only one they believe. You were perfect. Hardworking, trusted. When they asked for someone to cover the trail, I thought I could manipulate the numbers without hurting you. But the board wanted a name. They made it yours." Maya swallowed hard. "You ruined everything." "I know," he said. "And I've hated myself every day since." Silence filled the car. The road stretched ahead, empty and grey. When they reached the rail yard, the place looked deserted. Long lines of rusted freight cars, puddles of rainwater, the faint hum of power lines above. Ethan parked near an old storage building. "He should be here," he said. They stepped out cautiously. The air was heavy, damp. Maya scanned the area, but no one was in sight. "Ethan," she whispered, "I don't think anyone's coming." Before he could answer, a car engine roared behind them. Another vehicle pulled in fast. A black SUV, tinted windows, the same kind that had chased her before. Ethan grabbed her hand. "Run." They sprinted behind a line of containers as the SUV doors slammed open. Voices shouted. Footsteps followed. Maya's heart pounded in her ears. She ducked behind a crate, clutching the USB like it was oxygen. Ethan crouched beside her, breathing hard. "They can't get this," he said. "It's over if they do. What are we supposed to do?" He looked at her, eyes sharp again. "You trust your Uber driver?" "What? Why?" "He's not just a driver. He's one of the investigators' people. He's been watching you to keep you safe." Maya blinked. "You're serious?" "Call him," Ethan said. "Now." Maya pulled out her phone, her hands trembling, and dialed the driver's number from her recent rides. He answered on the first ring. "Get out of there," he said immediately. "I'm 2 blocks away." Maya ended the call. "He's coming." They heard footsteps getting closer. Ethan peeked around the crate. Men in dark coats scanning the area. One of them shouted, and gunfire cracked through the air. Maya ducked lower, shaking. "They'll kill us." "Not if you run," Ethan said, his voice steady. "Take the drive and go." "I'm not leaving you." He gave a small, sad smile. "You have to. They want me more than they want you. If they get me, maybe you'll have time." Before she could argue, he stood up and ran in the opposite direction, drawing the men away. Maya wanted to scream, but she knew he was right. She sprinted toward the far end of the yard. A car screeched into view. Her Uber driver. The door flew open. "Get in," he yelled. Maya jumped inside, clutching the USB to her chest. As they sped off, she looked back through the rear window. Ethan was surrounded. Then, in the distance, headlights flared. A flash, a sound like thunder, and his car went up in smoke. Maya gasped, tears stinging her eyes. "No." The driver's face was grim. "I told him they'd find him if he stayed. He made his choice." Maya sat in stunned silence, the USB still warm in her palm. Hours later, they reached a quiet town on the outskirts of the city. The driver parked near a small cafe. "The investigator will meet you here," he said. "He'll take care of the rest." Maya didn't move. "He's really gone, isn't he?" The driver nodded. He knew this was how it would end. She closed her eyes, letting the reality sink in. "Ethan, The man who had once betrayed her had just sacrificed himself so she could survive. The irony was unbearable. When the investigator finally arrived, a middle-aged man in a dark coat, Maya handed him the USB. "This has everything," she said quietly. "Make it count." He gave her a reassuring nod. "It will." As the driver pulled away from the cafe, Maya watched the morning sun rise behind the city skyline. The world felt heavy and strange, full of endings and beginnings. The USB was gone now, out of her hands. But the decision she made would live with her forever. She could have used it to destroy Ethan earlier, to humiliate him, to take revenge. But instead, she had chosen the truth. And in the end, Ethan had done the same. The driver glanced at her through the mirror. "You did the right thing." "Maybe," Maya said softly. "But it still hurts." He nodded. "It always does. That's how you know you're still human." Maya turned her gaze toward the light breaking through the clouds. For months she had dreamed of revenge, of seeing Ethan fall. And he had fallen, but not the way she imagined. He hadn't been her enemy at the end. He'd been a man trying to make things right too late. As the city faded behind her, she whispered to herself, "It's over." But deep down, she knew it wasn't. The truth was out there now, dangerous and powerful. And she was the only one who had survived it. For the first time, though, she didn't feel like a victim. She felt something else. Stronger, steadier. Freedom, maybe. Or forgiveness. Revenge had brought her here, but the truth was what set her free.